CTV News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. A couple in Laval thought they'd finally become the family they dreamed of. They'd adopted a baby girl in Lebanon. All they had to do was bring her back to Montreal. Well, that was a year and a half ago. The mother and the daughter are both still in Lebanon in what is a war zone. The father's in a fight with Quebec for the right to bring his little girl home. Laurence Brisson-Debreuil reports.
For Jean Bougana, the family he waited years to build is still out of reach.
I'm condemned to live without building a family here.
His wife, Rula Bouchala, and their 22-month-old daughter, Liana, have been stuck in Lebanon for the last 18 months. The couple says a decision by Quebec has left their family divided between two continents.
She took her first step without being by her side. She's speaking right now, she's saying my name.
Quebec's health ministry says the law does not permit private adoption or the recognition of a domestic adoption as an international adoption without prior authorization for adoption. The couple went through years of fertility treatments and 13 years on Quebec's adoption waiting list. They turned to an international adoption service in their native country of Lebanon. They say they followed every step they were given, but were left to figure out the process on their own. Bouchala says she had dreamed of their little girl for 18 years. Now she says every extra day in Lebanon is a day spent in fear.
Liana should be safe, protected, and not growing up in the middle of a war zone. She simply deserves to start living far away from fear.
Back in Laval, Liana's bedroom is ready, her father waiting. While the health ministry says those rules exist to protect children and ensure international adoptions follow legal and ethical standards, to this father, it feels like the place he calls home has turned its back on his family.
And when I asked that one simple help, I want to build a family. Approve my adoption. No.
Still, Abougana says Liana didn't just find a family, she made them one.
It was a miracle because it's like Liana find us.
Their first choice is still Quebec. But if another province recognizes their adoption, they say they'll leave everything behind without hesitation to finally be together as a family. Laurence Brisson-Debreuil, CTV News.
Quebec's police watchdog has begun an investigation into the arrest of Philippe Benoit. The man was wanted for the murder of a teenager in Shawinigan. Matt Grillo reports.
For 4 days, the Sûreté du Québec led a manhunt to track down Philippe Benoit. Benoit is the suspect in the death of a 16-year-old, identified by friends and family as Benoit's son. Police spent time searching the Lac aux Sables area, about an hour from Shawinigan. On Wednesday, Benoit was arrested nearby in Lac Veillette. This area resident says she felt relief when she found out he was arrested. According to the BEI, when police located the suspect, he fled the scene. The BEI says it appears officers shot him and he was hit by at least one bullet. He was transported to hospital and is considered in stable condition.
Je dormais peut-être à 500 ou 600 mètres, 700 mètres de cette personne. C'était quand même spécial.
Jacques Côté says he lives less than a kilometer from where the suspect was found.
Quand je sortais en VTT, je regardais des fois.
He says when he would go out on his ATV, he would take a look around the area. Police have been searching for Benoit since Sunday. He's now facing a first-degree murder charge. Xavier Bouchard was friends with the victim.
C'était quelqu'un de drôle. Empathique, surtout.
He described him as someone who was funny and empathetic and always putting others before himself. According to our colleagues at Nouveau Info, Benoit has a history of mental health issues, including schizophrenia and social phobia.
Aucun de ses amis savait que son père avait des problèmes mentaux.
He says none of the victim's friends knew his father had mental health issues. A memorial service for the victim is expected Friday evening in Trois-Rivières. Matt Grillo, CTV News.
A man was killed last night after a fight in southwest Montreal. Police were called just before midnight about a man who was injured in a residential building on Monk Boulevard. They found a 42-year-old man in critical condition. He died later of his injuries. 2 American men convicted of murdering a Quebec couple in the Caribbean will be appealing the verdict. Jonathan Lehrer and Robert Thomas Snyder Jr. were found guilty of killing Daniel Langlois and his partner Dominique Marchand in 2023. Their bodies were found in a burned-out car near the luxury resort they owned in Dominica. Langlois was the founder of the animation software company Softimage. Pop superstar Ariana Grande wants people to vote, and she's making the case for why apathy is boring at all 3 of her Montreal shows. Here's Olivia O'Malley.
Inside the Bell Centre, there is exclusive Ariana Grande merchandise available to future voters.
If you pledge to vote in the Quebec election on October 5th, we will give you an exclusive Ariana Grande vote merch pin.
Her fans, known as Arianators, get this limited edition pin if they promise to head to the polls. The campaign is a collaboration between the pop star and Apathy is Boring. The organization educates and encourages young people to engage in democracy. During Tuesday's concert, 300 people signed up.
A bunch of people that we talked to on Tuesday, they didn't know there was an election coming up. They didn't know if they were registered or not. So we answered all of their questions so that they were ready to vote in October.
A few blocks away on St. Catherine Street, the American singer has a pop-up store. Fans from around the world are lining up down the block to get in. Many say Grande is a role model.
Her message is amazing, and she pushes a really good narrative for the young people to step into action and actually have their voices heard.
The 33-year-old's foundation is highlighting local organizations at each stop on the Eternal Sunshine Tour. In Montreal, she's also working with a group that helps LGBTQ+ migrants and a women's health organization.
I love that. I feel like celebrities should, encourage that stuff, because sometimes some celebrities won't dare to talk about those things.
It's about making it cool to go and head to the polls.
Political analyst Raphael Melanson says it's a great way to get young people to cast a ballot. In Quebec's last provincial election, the turnout rate for 18 to 34-year-olds lagged far behind older voters.
They get their information differently. They don't watch the news on television, sadly for us, and they're not necessarily on the same platforms as other segments of the population. So we need to have strategies to go directly where they are.
Apathy is Boring's booth will be set up in section 111, where they'll be giving voters the chance to say thank you next to Apathy. Quebec's provincial election is set for October 5th. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
The municipalities on the island of Montreal are calling on the CAQ government to stop delaying the release of new flood zone maps. The new maps will cover 11 municipalities, and they would be used to try to mitigate the effects of flooding on the island, especially along the St. Lawrence and Mille-Île rivers. The latest version of the map is expected to expand the flood zone by about 30%. The new map was expected in March. Quebec now says the new map will be delayed indefinitely.
What we really would like to see is just kind of to remove all of the sort of uncertainty and confusion, so that the new flood maps will finally be made public, and we can move forward with the other steps, as I mentioned, with the working on adaptation and resiliency with the different cities.
The Montreal metropolitan community wants the government to release the map on August the 1st, as planned. Quebec's Auto Insurance Board is calling on drivers to slow down. We are heading into the final weekend of the construction holiday. The 2-week period is one of the deadliest on Quebec's roads. So far, there have been more than 15 deaths, and the SAAQ says speeding is one of the main causes.
One last chance to make this construction holiday less mortal than the last one. It's dramatic. These deaths, it's always dramatic. One death is one too many, but it's even more dramatic when you know the causes of these accidents, of those collisions. And during that construction holiday period, in average in the last years, 3 deaths out of 4 are due to speeding.
Last year, 38 people died on the roads over the construction holiday, and that was up from previous years. 2 sisters are working side by side at the MUHC as surgical oncologists. And as they put it, it's all about families taking care of other families. Here's Sweeta Rassi.
When Cynthiana Dumitra was just a kid, she knew she wanted to be a doctor after her aunt had frequent heart surgeries.
She used to disappear for periods of time, and then she would go to the doctor and suddenly she would be better, and that meant I was getting to play with her more. So that, for me, doctors were somebody that were going to give your family back.
Her younger sister, Theodora, who goes by Teddy, had other plans.
I didn't want to be a surgical oncologist. Actually, I wanted to be a ballerina when I grew up.
But medicine won out. The sisters are originally from Romania and have experienced challenging times. They moved to Montreal at a young age and pursued their paths while never forgetting their roots.
You don't even realize it. It's just that you have no option but to succeed because so many people have sacrificed for you to be here.
Today, they work side by side in the same clinic at the MUHC as surgical oncologists. Cinziana performs mostly open surgery, while Teddy does mostly robotic surgery. But for the sisters, family has always been at the core of their work, and the pearl necklaces they each wear are a daily reminder.
Our mom gave this to us as a gift when we were younger, her when she graduated med school, me when I was 18 years old. And it's basically like having a part of our family with us every day.
When they're in the operating room together, it's a dynamic they wouldn't have any other way.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's very chaotic for the people around us because we do talk over each other. So the way that we behave towards each other is a little bit familiar.
And it all comes down to one thing.
We really do feel like it's our family taking care of other families, and we will never forget that when we take care of our patients. I think it's what makes it exciting to come to work every day and what brings us joy at the end of the day in this very hard job.
For these two sisters, caring for their patients will always be personal. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
Montreal is marking the 50th anniversary of the 1976 Olympic Games this week. As part of the celebrations, a legendary Olympic gymnast, Nadia Comăneci, back in Montreal, the city where she made history and scored a perfect 10. Geneviève Beauchemin reports.
With her trademark stance seen around the world half a century ago, Nadia Comăneci, nicknamed the Queen of the Montreal Games, returned to mark the 76th Olympics anniversary.
I am here because a 14-year-old decided to do something, 50 years ago. And I'm impressed as an adult right now about the courage that the 14-year-old had.
The young gymnast from Romania landed the first perfect 10 in Olympic history on July 18, 1976.
If you listen to the arena, you can hear, so I call it the Nadia touch.
The 10 was so unexpected, the scoreboard showed a 1.0. Her husband of more than 30 years now, fellow Olympic champion Bart Connor, who was also competing in Montreal, was sitting in the stands when she performed.
It changed the trajectory of the Olympic movement.
The Games were playing out with the backdrop of boycotts over apartheid, of the Cold War, of massive cost overruns for the host city. Many Montrealers still call the Olympic Stadium the Big O, as in O-W-E.
I think the whole Olympic movement was in trouble. And all of a sudden, some, 14-year-old girl comes from Romania and scores a perfect score, which had never been accomplished. And it kind of like reinvigorated the value of the Olympics again.
Comăneci scored 7 perfect 10s in Montreal, picked up 5 medals and 4 more at the Moscow Olympics in 1980. She defected to the U.S. in 1989, escaping the brutal regime of Nicolae Ceausescu. This June, Comăneci was back in Romania to mark the 50th anniversary of the 76 Olympics, where she is revered by generations. But she's also welcomed as a local hero in Montreal, where her feats sparked a baby boom of women named Nadia in her honor. Now, her visit will be quite busy. She'll be receiving an honorary doctorate. There's a plaque unveiling and that parade of the women named Nadia. All that within 3 days. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
One of the women who will meet Nadia Comăneci was born on the same day the gymnast scored that perfect 10. Nadia Frost entered a contest called the Great Nadia Gathering. She was chosen to be among the 50 women who will meet the famous Olympian and have VIP access to a 50th anniversary celebration. She says it feels very surreal.
Me and my family, because I do have a very large family and they all know the story, I think it's going to be a pretty special moment to have my picture taken with him and her and be able to maybe shake her hand. because that little girl that I was could have never imagined that this moment would happen ever.
And there's more in our interview on our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. And Montreal will host the world's top men's tennis players starting this weekend. But there are a few notable absences, and there are questions about why that keeps happening. Here's Denise Roberts.
Felix Auger-Aliassime was back on his home court today, having a hit with some young talent.
I knew it was fun because I touched him actually, because I clapped his hands.
He's always been a big draw here, and this year he's seeded second, the highest of any Canadian men's player at this tournament.
I've loved this tournament, especially being from here. Since I'm a kid, I've come here to watch the best players. Roger, Novak, Rafa, they've all played here, so it's a shame when we don't have all the best.
The world's top player, Jannik Sinner, was supposed to be here too, but withdrew from the mandatory tournament just last week. A surprise, says tournament director Valérie Tétrault.
I think we really enjoyed having him 2 years ago, and yes, we feel like in recent years maybe it happened too often that there were those late withdrawals for the top players.
So that but some weren't surprised, like former U.S. Open champ and tennis broadcaster Andy Roddick.
It's unfortunate, and Canada is gonna keep paying the price for it. Right? They're not going to flip it with Cincinnati.
No,
so.
Yeah, Cincinnati's not going anywhere.
Critics say the timing of the tournament, right after Wimbledon and before Cincinnati, and the expanded 12-day format implemented 2 years ago is putting pressure on players and causing burnout. Tétrault disagrees.
We're not the only one in this situation, and so that is why, we turn to the ATP, we turn to the Masters 1000 group to work together in thinking of ways to make sure that these players have to play the biggest events.
Felix Auger-Aliassime says players are trying to work with the ATP to find a solution.
More and more ideas that are brought up of how we could find a balance of protecting the players and their choices, but also protecting the tournaments, and ideas like not being able to skip the same tournament 2 years in a row.
The biggest challenge facing this tournament, though, is infrastructure, and Tétrault says plans are underway to build a new stadium with a roof.
That's obviously going to be our number one priority for the years to come. We're at the very beginning of what's going to be a long process.
The biggest strength the tournament has is its fan culture. It seems no matter who is on the bill, ticket sales are hot. And this year, organizers are expecting to break records. And there will be plenty of tennis stars still to see when play gets underway. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
And coming up, the clock is ticking.
A little nervous. I try not to think about it. I hope the agreement's made, obviously, but they're in the right to do it for sure.
WestJet flights could be grounded as early as tomorrow. And the latest internet challenge could have deadly consequences. The union representing flight attendants at WestJet have issued a 72-hour strike notice. The airline responded with a lockout notice. Kathy Lee reports.
A labor relations expert says the posturing between WestJet and the union is expected and all part of the bargaining process. Both sides have now issued lockout and strike notices, but there's still time to reach an agreement and avoid a work stoppage.
For many WestJet passengers, today's trip comes with a question mark. They're traveling knowing their return could look very different with the strike looming.
We're actually headed to San Diego, and so our dates are right in the middle of the potential strike.
Obviously, I'm a bit worried about it. I think there's probably some alternatives I could get from there if it was impacted.
As bargaining continues, the union representing about 4,400 flight attendants has issued a 72-hour strike notice, while the airline has responded with a lockout notice of its own. In a statement, WestJet's CEO saying, "We sincerely regret the inconvenience and uncertainty this continues to cause for our guests." The union planned a press conference but canceled, saying in a statement, "Unfortunately, the parties are still still too far apart on some key issues. Flight attendants voted 99% in favor of a strike mandate earlier this month. Wages, unpaid work, and working conditions, the major sticking points at the bargaining table. Issues similar to why Air Canada flight attendants went on strike last year for 3 days. This labor relations expert says despite today's escalation, there's still time to reach a deal.
It's really not uncommon at all to see these kinds of situations resolved with an agreement at the 11th hour.
While a strike could begin as early as Sunday, some flights could start being grounded as early as tomorrow unless a deal is reached. At least for these travelers, they are taking it in stride.
A little bit of panic, but you know, we're going on vacation anyways. A few extra days doesn't hurt.
Getting stranded in LA isn't that bad.
The strike and lockout notices come a day after both sides agreed to a wind-down plan, which outlines the details of how operations would be scaled back and how crews would be returned if there is a work stoppage. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
FIFA wants to sell stakes in the World Cup to private investors. Well, now Europe's governing soccer body says they will boycott future World Cups if those sales go through. Here's Jacqueline Lee.
New controversy ahead of the 2030 World Cup. In emergency meetings today, two major governing bodies taking action after FIFA President Gianni Infantino offered each of FIFA's 211 member federations an instant initial $20 million payout if they agree to sell stakes in the World Cup to private investors. Europe's governing soccer body, known as UEFA, voted unanimously to boycott the tournament and any other FIFA events before then. Later in the day, CONCACAF, which oversees North American federations, also held an emergency meeting and rejected the proposal. FIFA says participation would be voluntary and no member would be required to participate.
Strengthening the commercial side of the game is the natural next step in this evolution. So we believe that the FFE proposal would unlock the sport's potential in every corner of the world across men's, women's and youth football.
UEFA's 55 member associations pushing back, releasing a statement saying in part, quote, no UEFA national teams will participate in any FIFA competition for so long as these proposals remain alive, unless this proposal has been abandoned in its entirety and binding assurances have been given that FIFA will never again open its governance or competitions to private ownership.
UEFA's calculation is that if we boycott ourselves from this tournament, it's not a World Cup. It's like the NBA without the Celtics or the Knicks or the Lakers.
The boycott would also cover the Women's World Cup, which is set to hold playoffs in October. This coming after the Men's World Cup swept through the United States this summer. The contagious excitement spread across social media as thousands of international visitors discovered the delights of different American cities while rooting for their favorite teams. UEFA also saying in a statement that the moment external investors acquire ownership interests in FIFA competitions, football changes forever and commercial return becomes a permanent obligation. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
In the United States, the man who gave his 14-year-old son a gun for Christmas has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. His son then used that gun to kill 4 people at a high school in Georgia.
But for you failing to get cult help, but for your failure to remove access to the guns, this doesn't happen.
Colin Gray was convicted of several charges, including second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. Earlier this week, his son, Colt Gray, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It was for the shooting at the Appalachia High School in September of 2024. There are fears of a new front in the U.S.-Iran war. There have been drone strikes on vessels in Egypt's Mediterranean port of Damietta. Egypt says a drone caused a fire in 2 vessels at the port. The port is near the Suez Canal, which links the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. Russia increased its attacks on Ukraine today. There are reports of strikes by ballistic missiles. At least 8 people were killed. Yesterday, the Ukrainian president was in Washington. He warned a massive Russian attack was coming and that there was a shortage of Ukrainian interceptor missiles. And the death toll from Tuesday's earthquake in Japan has risen to 34. Crews are still searching a badly damaged shopping mall in the town of Kashima, which was filled with shoppers at the time of the quake. The quake triggered an explosion that caused the upper floor to collapse. And coming up, she wanted to leave a negative review.
Professionals will monitor the comment section of so many recognizable brands.
And she ended up getting caught in the latest internet scam. The Quebec Liberals say they have a plan to make this province a bigger player on the federal scene. Meanwhile, the federal Liberals have called 3 by-elections for the end of August, and one in Quebec will be watched very closely. David Urtel joins us. Hi, David.
Hi, Mitsumi.
So, David, I want to start with Charles Milliard, the Quebec Liberal leader. Yesterday, he stood in front of the U.S. consulate in Quebec City and said Quebec should do more to work with the rest of Canada. What exactly was he trying to say, do you think? What was what was that about?
Well, I really think that what Charles Milliard is trying to do, I think there's several things he was trying to achieve yesterday. One, he's trying to establish the Liberal brand on the economic front. For years now, the Liberals have had trouble really establishing themselves, re-establishing themselves as being the party of the economy. He really wants to try to do that. So he's talking tariffs, he's talking trade with the rest of the provinces. Two, I think he was trying to change the conversation about him. Let's face it, this was his first major policy statement since the whole language fiasco during the spring. And this summer has been marred by problems with candidates across Quebec and the now becoming more and more infamous joke that he even got in on of "Where's Charles?" And so I think he's trying to change the conversation. But think about this, Mitsumi. What he proposed was very generic. And if you're a voter, you're thinking about affordability, you're thinking about healthcare, you're thinking about education, infrastructure, and Charles Milliard had the attention of all the media, was well positioned, and he was talking about, setting up a pan-Canadian committee. So if I'm a voter, I'm saying, oh, wow, I'm really going to vote Liberal on October 5th because Charles Milliard is going to set up a committee. He's still not connecting on real day-to-day kitchen table issues that Quebecers are thinking about, even during the summer.
Okay. I want to get to the 3 by-elections that are being called. The by-elections, there's one in Chicoutimi, Le Fjord, Beaches East York, North Vancouver, Capilano. But the one in Chicoutimi is going to be interesting, right? Like, why is so many people interested in what happens in Chicoutimi?
Well, first of all, the 2 other by-elections are very safe Liberal seats in Ontario and BC. So it would be incredibly surprising if the Liberals dropped those 2. This one was a Conservative seat held by Richard Martel, who accepted a Senate appointment from Mark Carney. That in itself is fascinating. And what it does right now is showing how popular Mark Carney is, because right now projections are showing that the Liberals would win this seat. So take it away from the Conservatives. The Bloc doesn't seem to have a lot of chances with the seat. And what's also very interesting, Mitsumi, is the timing of this. The by-election is going to be held on August 31st, just before the beginning of the provincial campaign. But for the Bloc, especially, it's going to be very difficult because, let's face it, Bloc organizers are going to be busy doing what? Organizing for the PQ. So you're seeing already, the Liberals have a star candidate, the former president of the Dairy Federation of Quebec, very well known in those parts of the Lac Saint-Jean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and David, very quickly, because we're almost out of time, if the Conservatives should lose Chicoutimi, what is this going to mean for Pierre Poilievre?
Yeah. Well, he's already in the low of the lows. All the polling's indicating this. There's nobody waiting in the wings. So I think Pierre Poilievre is just playing for time and hoping that, after the midterms and, the attention may actually start being focused on Mark Carney and what he's actually doing for Canadians. And maybe he'll start, rebuilding, but nothing good for Poilievre.
Okay. Thank you very much for this, David.
All right, take care.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, I am live from Clock Tower Quay at the Old Port at a festival that is so quintessentially Montreal. That is Poutine Fest, and as the name suggests, here you can find poutine mixed with every type of comfort food you can imagine. So think mac and cheese poutine, lobster poutine, souvlaki poutine. There's lots to experience here. The festival has been running for 11 years, and as organizer Charlotte Hubert mentioned, there are some special experiences to look forward to in the coming days.
On Fridays, we have poutine degustation. So it's 5 poutine for the price, I think, of $57 around. And it's poutines that are quite big. It's like a portion size. And you get 5 and you get to try all these poutines without paying the regular price. And then on Saturday, we do live shows.
So this runs every day from noon until 9 p.m. until Saturday. On Sunday, the festival ends at 8 p.m. But if you are planning on heading down, Friday may be the day to pick. Looking at our forecast, if we check in with our current temperature, what we're seeing right now is a temperature of 23 degrees, but feeling warmer with the humidity. So feeling more along the lines of 30, although there is also a bit of a light breeze. And we have felt warmer on this day, looking back to our record high from 1988. That number sits at 33.8 degrees for tonight. Expect the mercury to go down a bit. We're looking at an overnight low of 18 with partly cloudy skies. Also seeing a 30% chance of some showers coming in, but that should clear out by tomorrow morning when we're forecasting a wake-up temperature of 19 and a mix of sun and clouds. And by tomorrow afternoon, things are looking pretty sunny. So mainly sunny skies with a daytime high of 28. Our futurecast once again showing us those showers clearing out by midnight, and then we see lots of sunshine coming in for the greater Montreal area as we head into tomorrow afternoon. But as I mentioned before, Saturday and Sunday are looking like a different picture. So we could see more showers then. That could look like roughly 5 millimeters on Saturday. We could get up to 19 coming in on Sunday, and an additional 2 potentially on Monday. So looking like not only a rainy weekend, but a rainy start to next week. But it is good news come the middle of next week when we are looking at a return to a mix of sun and clouds and daytime highs feeling like the mid-30s. Back to you.
It's another new scam. A WestJet passenger was scammed after she posted a negative review online. Here's Pat Foran.
I was not happy. I was really upset.
Tracy Healy of Toronto was visiting British Columbia in March and had a great trip. But when she was to fly home in April, she missed her first flight. She did make it to Vancouver Airport for her connecting flight, but was not allowed to board.
So I'm sitting at the airport and I'm panicking because I need to get back home to Toronto, and I have work the next day.
Healy decided to vent her frustration by contacting WestJet through social media.
I log on to Facebook, and then I found the WestJet customer service Facebook group.
She says almost immediately she got messages from people claiming to be WestJet employees who wanted to help.
We want to make this right for you. We're going to give you a refund, and we're going to pay for your flight home.
Healy says she was asked for her credit card and banking information so they could give her a $3,000 refund. But instead, the money was taken out of her account.
I got scammed $3,000 from somebody claiming to be a WestJet customer service rep in Kenya.
When CTV News reached out to WestJet, a spokesperson said, WestJet will never request payment or sensitive personal information through unofficial channels such as unsolicited WhatsApp messages, calls, or non-verified social media accounts.
Criminals will monitor the comment section of so many recognizable brands.
Cybersecurity experts say you should avoid posting comments online and not interact with companies through social media platforms. Only deal with them through regular channels.
Reach out to us through our published phone number and we will help you. Nothing else should be trusted.
Healy says she should have noticed some red flags, but says she was frazzled and frustrated being stuck in an airport.
I can't believe I fell for this. He caught me at a moment when I was primed for the picking.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
A new Hydro-Quebec program has become the victim of its own success. The utility is no longer taking applications for its free heat pump installation program for 2026 and 2027 season. It's because too many people applied. The offer was announced late last month. It was geared to modest-income households, and it aims to help fund energy-efficient upgrades for some 20,000 households. And coming up, Greg Joy remembers a defining moment.
You can hear the raindrops falling on the track. It was so quiet. And as soon as I went over, the place just exploded.
It was at the Montreal Olympic Games 50 years ago. And a young woman is trying to raise more awareness about colon cancer.
Your Health, brought to you by Gratianscap's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
A 30-year-old woman with stage 3 colon cancer wants people to know what happened to her. She says doctors largely ignored her symptoms. Abigail Beeman has more.
After 2 days, a nurse comes and disconnects the bag from me.
Jillian Niles shows us the realities of chemotherapy, part of a determined quest to prevent others from sitting in this hospital bed.
Numerous doctor's appointments saying, like, listen, there's something wrong. I don't feel good, and I'm having trouble going to the washroom. It's irregular. The blood in my stool is concerning, and they just kept sweeping it under the rug as, oh, it's hemorrhoids.
Niles suffered debilitating pain for 3.5 years, begging to be heard, she says, before a doctor finally ordered further tests.
Then they found my cancer, but they found it at stage 3.
Incensed it wasn't caught sooner, despite detailing symptoms and telling doctors her grandmother died of colon cancer. As an Indigenous woman, she says she was caught up in stigma.
They were very happy to say, okay, you're in pain, let me give you this medication. But at the same time, I was saying, no, I don't want the pain pills. I want answers.
Both incidence rates and mortality from colorectal cancer has increased in our Indigenous Inuit Métis populations, which is kind of alarming.
Radiation oncologist Mark Godet says that's true across all age cohorts. In general, colon cancer rates are on the rise for Canadians younger than 50. Niles wants screening ages lowered further. She is just 39. And of all of the parts of her life she's grieving, she can't work or volunteer. The hardest is being less hands-on with her 3-year-old son, Jack.
It's very unfair because I want to be the best mom I can be in the world. So hopefully I'll make that up to him next year and for the rest of his life.
In the meantime, she's grateful for family, including her twin sister.
I believe in you. Okay, good.
And the help of nurse Diego Caesar with the Ottawa Hospital's Indigenous Cancer Program.
A later diagnosis, having to go through multiple avenues to get an answer, feeling unheard. I think that is a really common theme for everybody who's going through healthcare right now, but especially Indigenous people.
Niles hopes sharing her story will encourage others to self-advocate.
I want to really spread that awareness with everybody that you have the power to ask for help.
Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Police are warning about a new social media challenge. It's called the Lug Nut Challenge. There have been at least 5 incidents in the eastern townships. Videos are being posted online showing people loosening or removing lug nuts off the wheels of vehicles without the owner's knowledge. Police in Memphremagog says they know of at least 4 incidents in the last 2 months. In 2 of the cases, a wheel actually came off while the car was being driven, and the drivers barely made it safely to the side of the road. Police are asking parents to talk to their teenagers to stress just how dangerous this is.
We hope that a lot of parents will have a discussion with their kids, their teenager, because that's a kind of challenge that we see on TikTok. It's a really dangerous challenge. Car can go off the road. We have to put some time, using time with our teenager. Talk about this. It's like a stupid challenge, you know. So we expect that there's going to be an open discussion between a challenge and between teenager and parents.
Anyone convicted of loosening the lug nuts of a car that causes a fatal accident could face a life prison sentence.
Business News, brought to you by Au Vieux de Loup. Generous and delicious plates all the time.
We are deep into earnings season. That's when businesses share financial updates with their investors. Mirella Fernandez has more on that.
Apple reported earnings after the end of the trading day. The iPhone company reported revenue of just under $110 billion US for its latest quarter. That is 16% better year over year. Mac sales were up 29%, iPhones up 22%. But sales in China are slowing and missed the estimate, which could be why investors sent the stock down in after-hours trading. Amazon also reported earnings after the end of the trading day. All eyes were on revenue for Amazon Web Services. It was up 37% in the last quarter, hitting over $42 billion US. That beat expectations by over $1 billion. Investors are also keeping tabs on how much it's investing in AI. Amazon's full-year CapEx budget is $200 billion US. Loblaw reported earnings with revenue from its grocery chain, Shoppers Drug Mart, and its PC Financial business coming in at over $15 billion in the latest quarter. Drug retail was up 4.6% with a boost from the sale of generic GLP-1 weight loss drugs. Food retail gained 1.6%. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar's up to 71.41 US. West Texas Intermediate down to 83.67 US a barrel. Western Canadian Select up over $5 today to 67.17. And the TSX gained 172 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Mirella Fernandez.
Several Quebec artists are on the short list for the Polaris Music Prize for the Best Canadian Music. Among them, Fabiennec by Angine de Poitrine and House on Fire by Patrick Watson and Martha Wainwright. The Polaris Prize recognizes the best in Canadian music. The winner gets a $10,000 prize. The winner will be announced at a ceremony September 22nd at Massey Hall in Toronto. Yesterday, we told you about a cat with rabies, the first known case in Quebec. Now, Caroline, we're hearing that 3 people are being treated because they were exposed to rabies through that cat.
Exactly. 3 people who had contact with the cat with rabies have now been confirmed to be infected. The 3 were all treated because rabies can be fatal if it's not treated quickly. We're not sure how they're doing, though. But we will speak to a vet on what you should look for in an animal or pet that is acting suspicious for rabies. We'll also find out about a court ruling that could affect private seniors' residences in the city. And we'll speak with the filmmaker behind a new documentary about a Quebec man who was using dating sites to drug and sexually assault women. It's a frightening and cautionary tale, and you're going to want to hear about it. It's all at 11:30 tonight. Mitsumi.
Thanks very much, Caroline. It was a defining moment in Canadian sports. Tomorrow will mark 50 years since Greg Joy won silver in high jump at the 1976 Olympics in Montreal. Peter Sperling reports.
This is my Olympic medal.
A moment etched in Canada's history.
You could hear a pin drop. And as a matter of fact, the commentator said you can hear the raindrops falling on the track. It was so quiet. And as soon as I went over, the place just exploded.
50 years ago, at the 1976 Olympics in Montreal, Greg Joy was Canada's last hope for a gold medal. In an exciting contest with the country watching, he came oh so close, winning silver in high jump. Canadians celebrated like it was gold.
It's amazing that after all these years, people still talk about it.
Joy jumped 2.23 meters.
I knew that I had secured a medal. I wasn't sure of the color yet. There's one of me holding the flag at the closing ceremonies.
An emotional and memorable achievement to this day for many. Joy says his daughter was recently shown video of the entire jump, complete with sound from the stadium.
She was in tears. So even my daughter, who's grown up with this, realized the impact of the moment. So when I look at that, I say, yeah, I kind of get it.
The jump immortalized in the O Canada sign-off that aired on TV for years.
When TV came on, when TV came off, and even today, people still mention it. It was a huge honor to be a part of that.
It was Canada's first time hosting the Olympics.
The big thing was I had home field advantage. So when I was up, you could hear it in the crowd.
And this week, as Canada celebrates that anniversary, Joy will attend several events in Montreal to mark the occasion, one that inspired future generations of Canadians.
There's so many that have done that in this nation to make sport as where it is today.
Peter Sperling, CTV News.
So, Anastasia, have you checked out any of the food yet?
I haven't yet, but I will say Poutine Fest has quite the endorsement because our cameraman Gab here is about ready to set up for dinner.
Sure he is.
If you are, if you are planning on joining him, here's what we're looking at weather-wise tonight. We have a low of 18 degrees along with a 30% chance of showers clearing out. Also expecting to see partly cloudy skies. As we head into tomorrow morning, you can look forward to a wake-up temperature of 19 before the mercury moves up. We could hit a high of 28 degrees tomorrow, but feeling more like the low 30s with the humidity. And by afternoon, we're looking at mainly sunny skies. So lots to look forward, and tomorrow will likely be the best day of the weekend. Mitsumi?
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.